Italia steadying himself. A star in the making. And there's the only goal. Sabiri with it. After 11 years, once again, Milan are the champions of Italy.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to Serie A Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio, told like it is. Actually, where you get your Calcio to go. I'm so scrambled. This is what happens when you have to wake up on your weekend at like before 6 o'clock each morning because your son is playing in a soccer tournament an hour away, and the tournament committee was nice enough to stick said son's team with 8:30 a.m. games each day. So, but I will pull through. This is where you get your Calcio to go. We're part of World Football Index. I'm Frank Crivello, and I'm going to stop blabbing, and I'm going to let Richard talk. Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. It's another crazy weekend of transfers, draws, and Calcio, of course.
Yeah, we got a loaded show tonight because we've got so much to cover. A great match week 3 that involved 3 matches involving. Can we call them the 8 sisters now? I think Fiorentina belongs.
Yeah.
You know, and then we need to talk about some key transfers that went down during the week. Arkadiusz Milik to Juventus, Malik Thiaw to Milan, and Andrea Belotti, I believe, is now a Roma player finally. Is that finally over the line?
Yeah. I saw a picture with him in a Roma jersey. I don't know if it was Photoshop, but it looks like it's official.
Yes. So we've got all of that to cover. We've got our reaction to the draw from the UEFA Champions League, as well as the Roman club's fortunes in the Europa League, along with Fiorentina's path in the Conference League. We'll break all that down. And, of course, finish with the world's most popular hashtag game, Who Won Calcio Twitter. Good to see Anthony. Good to see Emiliano in the chat. Join us if you are watching us live. Please check in with us. Let us know where you are. If you're enjoying a wonderful beverage here on a Sunday night, as I am, a spotted cow, because I'm also toasting to the final night of my kids' summer vacation. Get to send their asses back to school tomorrow.
Yeah. My son starts school this week too, so.
Oh, are you guys are going to do the pictures and the Facebook? And
I don't know. We'll be there, but I don't know. We'll take the pictures.
We stopped doing that.
Yeah.
We just felt it started getting a little narcissistic, and you know, if people do that, if you want to do that, and you're taking offense to what I say, well, don't be offended. That's just how we roll. You go ahead and do it. I know you probably have family that you don't normally connect with, and that's how they keep in touch with you, and that's why you do it. I get it, but I still say it's a bit narcissistic. Yeah, look at my kids, kind of thing. But you know, I just do it a little bit, not that often. So
only a little bit narcissistic.
Yeah, I'm only a little narcissistic. Saying I'm only a little narcissistic is narcissistic in and of itself, I think.
Right.
So, oh my goodness. How are you? How was your weekend?
Good. Crazy, obviously, with the Champions League starting, the draws on Friday with Europa League, and then obviously all the games, and then all the transfers, and we'll get into the transfers later. But I got Milan Twitter. Ma che cosa vuoi? What do you want us to do? I mean, we'll get into that. I'm just Milan Twitter needs to calm the fuck down.
Did you see that last night?
Yeah, but it's just a nut. It's just Milan Twitter in a small sampling. I mean, that's how Milan Twitter is. They think we need new center backs. We need new this and that. Like, no, we have one of the top 3 center back pairings in the league. We don't need another center back. We need depth, absolutely. We need other places, right? We need a right winger and this and that. But like, calm down, people.
Oh my God, what are you doing buying a player from a team that was relegated and
I've watched this, and I watched
gave up 6 goals to Union Berlin, and what are we doing?
By the way, the correct pronunciation of Malik Thiaw, like ciao in Italiano.
Ciao, okay.
Ciao. So, but yeah, I watched this kid his whole career. I know a little bit about him, but whatever. We'll get to that.
Yeah, and
we'll get into Malik.
So on that rationale, Milan shouldn't have bought Rade Krunic or Ismail Benacer or Sandro Tonali, or they probably shouldn't have bought Junior Macias.
Adli.
Or Yassine Adli, yeah. So let's start over. I mean, and I don't want to single that one particular guy out because he's not the only one. It's almost everyone on Milan Twitter.
Yes.
And it's I think I go to Twitter to just realize how intelligent I really am. So, and say, thank God for my education, because I really would be nothing. So.
I would say that, but I have no education, so whatever.
Oh, you're well educated. You're well educated. You're a polyglot, for crying out loud. You're more educated than me. So.
Oh.
All right. Well, enough of our personal stuff. 3 big games on the peninsula this weekend, and we're going to go into them. And Friday, it started, Richard, with Lazio beating Inter 3-1. Only Jerry Mancini had that predicted.
I am Jerry.
I am Jerry. Yes.
Yes, he would have. Yes, he would have. Yes.
Yes. So. So that was where it started, and I think that one caught everybody that caught most by surprise, and really a thoroughly deserved win for Lazio. A smart setup from Maurizio Sarri. Inzaghi maybe overthinking it a little, throwing Bobby Gaggs out there in a game like this. So that's certainly a huge talking point. Felipe Anderson. Scoring first, getting a headed finish on a beautiful ball in by Sergei Milinkovic-Savic. I just have a question for Federico Di Marco. Do you just like giving up on crosses like that? Because he just looked like he totally quit on it, and Anderson got totally behind him and scored.
Yeah.
Speaking of quitting, just you know what, and this is just going to be a theme. In this league, it's so easy to get behind defenders, okay, from certain positions and catch them not seeing you. Yep. And it's so easy to claim second balls in this league. I mean, it's just the second ball defending through the first 3 match weeks of this season has been atrocious. Yeah. Has been absolutely atrocious. And another case in point, Lazio failing on the second ball. Lautaro Martinez gets to walk right in and make it 1-1. And then the goal of the week for me, Luis Alberto blasting one into the upper right corner. Is he out of favor still? Better not be after that.
Yeah.
And then Pedro scoring in the 86th minute. And I think Pedro was motivated. He found out he got knocked out of the Serie A Sitdown intro. Needed to prove himself. Got back in there 3-1. So do we? Let's start with Lazio on this, Richard, because we look at the first 2 games and the win over Bologna, 2-1, which they probably should have lost because they were a man down, and then Bologna does them a favor, and then Lazio, was it Torino in their second match?
I believe so.
Ending up no goals, and I think we're probably learning that. That's not a horrible thing with what Torino is doing right now.
Yeah.
So is Lazio sandbagging it here in the first couple of weeks? Are they a little bit better than what are they? Are they what we saw in the first 2 match days, or are they just gonna get up for this game against Inter and throw everything into it? I'm happy for them that they won. It's a huge 3 points for them, but I don't know what they are yet. I mean, this is great. Out. You know what I mean?
The jury's still out.
Yeah.
They beat Inter last year, so you got that right. They're very good at home at the Olimpico. This is also a little bit of Sarri 2.0 in this. I mean, compared to the first 2 games, this is a completely different Lazio. And granted, Inter probably had something to do with that as well. Obviously, DeMarco and some of the guys sleeping, but this Lazio team is going to be good. And it's not that we never said they're not going to be good, just that the teams that are ahead of them are just keeping ahead of them with all the moves that they made and this and that. This is a good Lazio team, I think. And I think the first week, Bologna can be a little bit stingy at times. We saw that with Milan today, struggled in trying to get some goals. Any other week, they would have had multiple goals, right? And then Torino is a pretty good team, it seems like, and it almost seems like they're doing better without Belotti in the lineup now. They just have a full complement of team, players all around. And so that's a pretty good team. And not to say that Inter's not a good team. Inter's a fantastic team that's going to be there at the end. But, the way they were able to dismantle them, Felipe Anderson running in the back there, catching DeMarco sleeping, and then Luis Alberto at that freaking goal of the week right there. And then, of course, Pedro doing what he does. And they had some lapses in judgment there, but, Provedel, what a signing he is. He's going to be a massive. It's not a massive. It's an upgrade in goalkeeping for sure. The save he had on Dumfries at the end, which could have made it 3-2. Big save. So this Lazio team is good. I think, yes, they probably put all their eggs in one basket for this game because they did really well last year, and maybe a little bit in Inter's heads, especially Inzaghi's head, right? He overthought it with the Gagliardini, like you mentioned, and some other moves. Some people want to blame Handanovic on that Luis Alberto goal. I'm sorry, nobody in the world is going to stop that goal. That was a fantastic strike. But overall, I think this Lazio were the better team on the day.
What do you blame Handanovic for?
He always stands still, but he had no chance at that goal. It
was one of the funniest things. I went when I took my USSFB license course back in 2009 in LA, and we had one of the guys on the U.S. national team staff he's one of the goalkeeping instructors, and he gave a lecture, and he's just on goalkeeping and things like that, and he said we were interested in hearing like some of the craziest questions he gets asked, and sure enough, some parent asked him one day, said, I really need my kid to learn how to stop upper 90 shots. And he said, do you know how you stop upper 90 shots? You don't. You go like this, and you look at the guy and you say, great goal.
That's all. That's all. That's all.
So. Oh my. But I can't believe people were blaming Handanovic for that. It's like, why can't you put on a cape and be Superman and go fly to the upper corner and get that ball? So,
and Inter, I don't know. I mean, what happened with them? I mean, were they caught flat-footed? Was it more of the mental stuff that I talked about from the last year when they lost to them at the Olimpico? I don't know. And again, it could have been a little bit of Inzaghi overthinking this, and maybe the team thought from the first two results from Inter they had two crazy games, right? The Spezia game, they completely dominated that game. The first game against Lecce, a tough game, and so they had to fight in this one. I don't know what they were thinking at all. They must have had a bad day. Maybe they overthought it. Obviously, with the midweek games coming, they're probably thinking ahead a little bit as well. I don't know. And I don't think this is a typical Inter performance. I'm not gonna expect this to go here going forward.
No.
And the loss probably won't hurt them in the long run. It's early in the season, but they got beat soundly today by a very good Lazio team, and Inter. Hopefully, I mean not hopefully, but it'll be a wake up call for them for sure. That when they play these 8 sisters now, you have to bring your top game. You just have to, because every one of those teams are capable of beating you.
Yeah. Through 3 games, what's Inter's overall deficiency right now? I mean, I think, and for a team that's got 6 points out of 9 through the first 3 games, we're being a little bit harsh. We might be a little bit harsh here. We talked about them as the favorites here in the preview. Obviously, when this transfer window shuts, we're going to get a chance to change our picks based on signings and whatnot. But what's deficient with them right now? Is it to me? It's a couple of things. It's thinking you can just plug Lukaku back in and it's going to just be like it was 2 years ago, or the reliance on it. And it might get there. I think that Lukaku had a rough year at Chelsea last year. And I think that he got out of favor with Tuchel. He didn't play a lot, got injured at one point. And it might just be a matter of one of the best strikers in the world needing time to just get it all back.
Yeah.
And maybe Inter's counting on that, and the best way to do it is just kind of continue to jam things until he does.
Yeah.
Or or is it something else? Because you look at this team, they should be. I still say they should be 9 points out of 9. I still don't know if this Lazio team is really that good to the point where they should be beating Inter 3-1.
No, I mean, I think they're capable of beating Inter 3-1. I think is a little bit flattering for Lazio. It's a perfect game by Lazio, complete shit to bed by Inter in this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, the biggest deficiency it's been for a while, and I can't believe that they have Onana in their midst and they're not playing him. Yes, I get Handanovic. He's a legendary keeper for Inter, yada, yada, yada. He's lost many steps, and it's time to bring in the young blood. Onana is going to be the heir apparent. Let him get the games in now. If you want to bring in Handanovic for some of these midweek games or whatever, do that. Handanovic has more than served his club. Fantastic goalkeeper in their history, but he needs to step aside. Onana needs to come in there. Now, also the left back, left wing, DiMarco has been good, but I think Gosens needs to get more playing time. Now, I don't know if Gosens is injured right now or anything, or what's going on. We saw him last week against Spezia, but the left wing, DiMarco has had up and downs. He's not been very consistent. When he's on, he's gone. He's very good, but I mean, look that when he's off, look what you saw at the Felipe Anderson goal, right?
Yeah.
I like the midfield. The midfield is fine. I think they need some better depth. Gagliardini is not the answer, obviously, and some of the other backups they have. They got rid of some dead weight like Matias Vecino and some others like that. But I think you're right also with the strikers. They need time to adjust, I guess. Joaquin Correa, say what you want about him. He's still struggling. He looked okay. I actually thought Correa was going to come on and score the goal because that would have been fitting, right? To play against Lazio and score, but he didn't.
Yeah.
Lukaku, not the pace. We've talked about that for a while now. And so, just the whole team needs a little bit of time to gel. But for me, the first thing I would do is switch out the goalie. I mean, you don't owe Handanovic anything at this point. Just bring in Onana, let him learn and get to the gameplay because he was a good goalkeeper before. So bring him on.
I think it's a criticism of Inzaghi here in this particular game. I mean, I understand because we've seen this be done plenty of times with managers when they go into these tougher environments and into these bigger games, that they play a midfield that is built to absorb. And that's what they did by starting Gagliardini and sitting Calhanoglu. But what did you buy Christian Aslani for?
Right.
Right. And isn't he supposed to be better than Roberto? In theory, he's better than Roberto Gagliardini.
He looked good.
Gagliardini was, so they go behind 1-0 at halftime. They get the quick goal to make it 1-1 to start the second half. And they wait until after they fall behind 2-1 to bring Calhanoglu on. And I think that was one of the tactical mistakes. We see this with managers. They'll get to a certain point in the game where, okay, this group is out there to absorb things. And if we can keep it level, get to 60 minutes where it's level, the playmaking midfielder comes into the game. He's the guy that links it between the midfield and the forwards. We get more dangerous. We cause more problems. It's the old make them run, make them wear down a little bit, and then bring on the fresh legs that can have a go at the midfielders and can make them think about little things. Classic example was the derby last season where Pioli started Krunic in the 10 position and everybody said, Kessie in the 10 position.
Correct.
And said, okay, are you nuts? And the whole idea was to, bring Diaz on as a substitute. And he comes on and Brozovic just can't deal with him. And Milan, and it's part of what led Milan to going on and winning the game. Yep. So, but you see that often where the creative 10 type, creative midfielder type is sacrificed, for the first part of the game, especially in an era where we're playing with 5 substitutions. I think managers are starting to do that more, and they're looking at it looking at the game in segments. And in this case, Inzaghi just got it all wrong, and he thought at 1-1 and said, hey, what I've got out there can go and get me the second goal and win this game, where he's going to get second guessed that Calhanoglu or somebody similar to him should have come on at the 60-minute point and put some pressure on Lazio. And I think that's a part of where Inter might have lost this game.
And so the big thing too, if that's what they're thinking about bringing on Gagliardini to kind of soak up some of the pressure and then wear them out, Gagliardini and Kessie are two different players, right? Kessie is a far better player than Gagliardini, and you understand why Kessie's in there because he's a bulldog. He always runs. He's very good at what he does. Gagliardini is just right?
Yep.
Inter don't have the depth or the right players to do that. They should have gone. I mean, if this is Cremonese, sure, fine, do it. You got that on the midweek, do that. But against Lazio, who has a really good midfield, honestly, right? SMS and Luis Alberto are still very good. Pedro is pretty good too, right?
Right.
You do not have the backup players to do that. You don't. Bring in Calhanoglu. He's been fantastic for Inter this season and last year, right? Bring him on. Let him do his thing and make it much more difficult for Lazio. Giving Lazio the run of the midfield is not the way you want to do it. And that's the tactics that Inzaghi did, which it seems like it is. Of course, it's a failure on his part, and he is the deserved main blame for this, I guess. But again, Lazio deserves a lot of credit as well for all
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, you give a lot of credit. You definitely give a lot of credit to Lazio because at that 1-1 moment, what did Sadi do? He brought on his 10, right?
Yeah.
And his 10 scored, and that ended up turning the game on its head and giving it to Lazio. So, and I also bring this absorption approach up because that's what Mourinho went for Roma against Juventus, playing Matic, Cristante, and it has the appearance of 3-4-2-1, where Pellegrini played in a more advanced role. But let's be honest, he was asked to play in the middle with Matic and Cristante in that setup, and then Dybala was maybe the link between them and Abraham, where they could try to get some success on the counter, playing against Juventus. And I looked at these lineups, and Juventus was pretty similar in the way they played. Fabio Miretti, who looks the part. Adrian Rabiot and Manuel Locatelli, and then you had Cuadrado and Kostic and Vlahovic, and we talked about that Juve setup. You got Cuadrado coming in from the right-footed. You got Kostic coming in from the left-footed. They want to stay wide. They want to cross balls in. Okay, if you're smart enough, you're going to know that that's coming, And for the most part, I think Roma knew that was coming and dealt with that Juventus pressure. They committed a foul in the second minute that led to the Dusan Vlahovic free kick. That's one of the goals of the week. And then Mourinho was satisfied, really, with continuing to play that way and just saying, "Hey, we'll take all the pressure here and we'll just keep them out and get to halftime and we'll make our adjustments then." How did you feel about how each of these teams approached it? Because when you look at these starting lineups, it told you who's trying to win this game.
Yeah, and the one thing that I saw, I thought that look at the lineups, you're like, oh, it's going to be a game that neither team really wants to come out and really take it by the reins. But the little wrinkle that Mourinho had, or not Mourinho, Allegri had, was like a 4-3-3, and when he's played a 4-3-3, it's a little bit more of attacking, right? And for me, Roma were reading the crosses that were coming in, but for the most part, I thought the tactics employed by Allegri and Juventus were fantastic in that first half. I thought they really put the onus against Roma, pressure, and it looked like they could have got a couple goals, right? Locatelli had that goal that was taken away, rightly so. But Roma looked like they were maybe trying to soak up some of that pressure and just wait to see how it is. And Mourinho, he likes to play very defensive, his teams, not to give up too much. But Allegri and Juventus looked very good in that first half, Frank. At least that's what I thought. I thought they could have easily had 2, maybe 3 goals in that first half.
Yeah. But I think that Patricio came up and made a couple of nice saves, particularly in the first half. You look at so Mourinho goes to the changes, and what does he do? He switches to a back 4. In order to do this, you got to take Spinazzola out and play Zalewski. Because I think that right now Spinazzola, with coming back from the injury and things like that, I think that he's better built as a wingback now. Obviously he was wildly successful in Mancini's Italy on the way to winning before he got hurt. But that's a different set of tactics than what they play under Mourinho. And I don't think Mourinho trusts him as much as a defender, as a fullback. So you go to Zalewski, who Mourinho places a little more trust in to play that position. You bring El Shaarawy on for Mancini. So it's a back 4. And El Shaarawy and Dybala are kind of playing in support of Abraham. And I think that it also appeared to me that Pellegrini pushed up a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Where they could start applying some more pressure on Juve. Paid off with the tying goal for Abraham, even though that was more of a set piece situation. Again, poor second ball defending, and Abraham gets to head home. Juve doesn't set themselves. They don't attack the ball, and Abraham makes it 1-1. So I thought that the adjustments by Mourinho were smart.
Yes.
I think the added guy going forward didn't put Juventus under pressure, but I think it kept them under control a lot more. I think in the first half you had this Your thoughts on this? I thought that Juventus they were going at Roma because they had the liberty to do so. Roma let them do it. And then when Roma made the tactical switch and changed the formation, it kind of restricted what Juve were doing. And I think there was also a little bit of Allegri getting involved with what he usually does. And Allegri kind of, I think, has this mindset that 1-0 is good enough for him. So
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on how things changed with the change in shape from Roma and how it impacted the teams going forward?
Yeah, it's funny. When I was watching that first half and what Juventus were doing to Roma in terms of how it looked, I'm thinking, damn, I don't think Roma's ready for this. I maybe they're not ready for the limelight after all. Let's see how the second half happens, though, because we know Mourinho, he will make adjustments, right? And sure enough, Mourinho made adjustments he needed. To go to your earlier question about Spinazzola, he does seem like more of a wing back. I mean, I think he could certainly play the fullback, but I don't know if he's back yet fully 100%. Yes, he's fit, but I don't know if he's back to where he was, and he still needs some time to get up there. And Zalewski, I think, is certainly a player more than capable of playing the right back or left back position. Excuse me. So if they can find a way to get Zalewski and Spinazzola out there, that might work. But who do you sacrifice, right? But I'm not worried yet about Spinazzola just yet. But yeah, the tactic change by Mourinho, I thought, was excellent. It showed that Roma really are a team that are ready for the spotlight. They got that goal back. Obviously, lovely play by Dybala to do that side-footed volley to get it back to Abraham. But I think it's what you expect with a good Mourinho squad. Yeah. They're going to find ways to stay in the game. And the perplexing or funny thing to me, that I tweeted this after the game, that everybody in that stadium seemed upset at the result, except two guys, Mourinho and Allegri, and they walked off.
They hugged it out they hugged it out all the way to the dressing room.
I was like, "What is this? What is this?" But overall, I think good result for both teams. Right? Allegri showed that they can play offensive styles against good teams, and we saw Roma can take a punch, adjust, and come back. So I think it's a good result for both of the teams. It's funny. Sanjar says apparently Mourinho said after the game, Abraham was saying that he thought he played well, and Mourinho said, "No, you did. You played bad."
No, he didn't play well. I mean, goals tend to mask problems. And Abraham played 90 minutes and touched the ball 29 times. And if you're going to be a dynamic striker in this league, you've got to be a presence and you've got to get yourself into position where you can get the ball easily. Yeah. And compounding these numbers, he lost possession 13 times. When you're playing the kind of tactics that Roma are playing, when you're playing these kind of counterattacking tactics that Roma are playing, you need your striker to take on the role of being able to hold the ball and help your team keep it, and being able to hold the ball and help your team get forward. All right? Who in this league as strikers excel in hold-up play? Dusan Vlahovic excels in hold-up play. Romelu Lukaku obviously is the standard for good hold-up play. Giroud is good at it.
Yeah.
Okay. What do those three have that Tammy Abraham don't have? Those three guys are trucks. They're kind of built. Even Giroud. Abraham's really slight.
Zlatan is not Zlatan. Zapata is also pretty good at hold up as well.
Yes. So, those guys. Caputo's decent at it if he can ever run to get to a ball. I mean, the Sampdoria was relying on these older strikers.
Pagliarella too, right? For that matter.
Yes. Abraham's so easy to take the ball off of because when you look at him physically compared to some of these other strikers in this league, he's so slight. And I think that you see some possession getting lost from him as a result. He can't keep it, And if he can't keep it, then players can't come around him to get involved and get the passes. So I think that that's a deficiency with Abraham's game. That's something that I think that Andrea Bellotti is going to be able to bring to the table.
Yep.
So, and he's probably going to have a better chance of, when they get into these counterattacking tactics, getting the ball, holding it so that Dybala can join and get it, or Pellegrini can join and get it, or the wingbacks can join and get it. And right now you don't have that. Yeah, and James, great point. Aiden Dzeko too.
Yeah.
Those are the guys that hold it up better than Those are the guys that hold it up better than Tammy Abraham. That's where Tammy Abraham's behind as a striker in this league. It was evidenced by how he performed in this game.
Yeah, you saw it clearly in this game. The difference between the two strikers was that Vlahovic was everywhere for Juventus, always holding up the ball well, finding his teammates, and Tammy not so much. And so I agree with Mourinho's comments. Mourinho's comments are partly true, yeah, because he didn't have play a good game despite the goal. And two, hopefully that light a fire under his ass. Now they got Belotti in the team. He needs to play better. It's competition. Competition does make you better. Hopefully, if he doesn't, it's Belotti's job to take. But Abraham obviously can score goals. He just needs to get in the gym or learn to hold up play. I mean, we'll talk about De Catalara later, but they're similar frames, and he's pretty strong. So,
yeah,
Tammy Abraham just needs to figure out how to use his body to the best advantage to leverage and take advantage of that. So, hopefully he gets there, because I think that would make him a true complete striker in this league. He can obviously score, but he needs to be able to hold up, dish it off to his teammates to become that complete striker.
Do you know where he would be? I'll tell you where he would be excellent is Atalanta, complementing Zapata. Let Zapata take all that punishment and absorb it, and let Abraham run all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, but Atalanta have players like that now. They Muriel, Lookman, Boga.
Well, what about Belotti, Abraham up top together, and Belotti does all the hard work and pitches it off. Belotti loves to roam around the pitch, almost like a 10, but that can hold it up. And so if he does some of the dirty work and gets Abraham free, there you go. But then who you could sacrifice, right? You got Zaniolo, you got Dybala, you got so many other attacking options. Obviously, Pellegrini is going to be there no matter what. So it's a numbers game with Mourinho. Who do you play? Do you play Spinazzola? Do you play Zalewski? Do you play Belotti in there? Who you sacrifice? It's a tough decision for a manager. It's good to have options because when you're on tournaments, but it's difficult to have a team and find that right chemistry that's going to get you to where you want to go.
Yes. So I see the merit to it, but knowing Mourinho, kind of understanding how Mourinho rolls, if he plays Abraham and Belotti together, it's because there's 10 minutes left and they're down by 1, and they need to, I don't know if he'll ever, I question whether he'll ever do that from the start. James is saying hopefully a rebound match coming up with Mons and Roma can get right. What do you need to get right?
Yeah.
You have 7 points.
To be fair, who they play? They play Cremonese. They struggled there? Oh, they got a goal, obviously, right? The first 2 games they had a.
But did they really struggle? Did they really struggle? They got they had 12 shots on target in that game. We talked about that last week. On a different day, they beat Cremonese 7-8-0. I mean, and the same thing with.
I would say maybe he means they'll get it right by getting the goals in the back of the net, because that's maybe the biggest flaw so far is not actually being clinical in front of the net. Yes, they get their opportunities left and right, tons of chances left in every game, but they're not putting the ball in the back of net. So maybe against Monza they'll find their stride, or is it a trap game?
Yeah, a rebound match for Tammy mostly. Okay, I understand that. Okay, but I mean, because I really don't have a problem with what I've seen out of Roma in the first 3 games, and I think that the tactics that Mourinho put out there against Juventus were fine. It's like, take the punches in the first 45 minutes and then make the adjustments to rescue something. Roma haven't really had that before in their manager.
Yeah,
a guy that understands what's coming to start with, and defensively, I think they've been excellent. Dusan Vlahovic scored a great goal. That's the one goal they've conceded so far in these 3 games.
No one's going to stop that shot.
Yeah, no one's stopping that. So, and then on the attacking side, they're creating a boatload of chances. And they're tactically they shifted things a little bit this game because of some of the dangers that Juventus presented, and that's understandable. So. I think they'll go back out. I think that if you're a Roma supporter like James is, or Sanjar, I believe, is a Roma supporter from some of the conversation here, I think I think if they do get a convincing result against Monza in the next match, I think you'll all sigh and you'll be okay. We're good. Yeah. So. But I'm telling you now, just watching Roma play and what they're doing under Mourinho through 3 games. Rich is saying the same thing. You're good right now, okay? Yeah. The performances are fine. Just not enough goals yet. That's fine. That's coming. So,
what about Juve? What do we make of Juve and their performance, and then them going forward?
Like I said, I think that Allegri was happy to get that first goal. He got the second goal, which was a handball on Vlahovic. So that got nullified. It came back through the VAR, and they got that right.
Right. That Locatelli goal was great, by the way. Too bad it was brought back.
It was. I'll tell you this. I think that Juventus looks so great because I think it's. I think that was more. Do you think that was more of a result of the product of how Roma set up in the first half?
Sure, partly. I
think so too.
Yeah,
I think so too. I mean,
early goal helps. Early goal, get the crowd more into it. I mean, that all plays parts in it for sure.
And I think that was also part of it. That early goal, there's something to be said about it. And you're an away team, and you're traveling, and especially a team of like Juve.
And I think the wingers too. I think Cuadrado and Kostic helped while they were nullified to extent with their crosses. Yeah. Just the pressure on the defense kept them back and forced them to play more defensive than maybe even more than they wanted, right? And I thought they just kept pushing, and had chances at 2 or 3 goals and didn't get it. So Rui Patricio was just fantastic in that first half. So yeah, it's a little bit of both. I think both teams, that led to Juve looking so good in that first half.
I just think that it's not Mourinho. Allegri's just got to free these guys.
Yeah.
If he just set these guys free and let them play.
I mean, that Moretti kid is, oh man, he's fantastic. And then get Evrovella in there. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yep. I was impressed with both of those young players. There's a lot to look forward to, but just Allegri, God, let these guys play.
Yeah.
He just sometimes he's the classic overthinker.
This is not the same defense that you could do in the past where you shut it down at 1-0. Your team's not that they're not built that way. There's no chance they're going to save that, especially not with the defenders they got. So I mean, Bremer notwithstanding. So you're not going to win those kind of games. Maybe if it's the last 5 minutes of the game, you do that, but you can't do that with this Allegri team. Not yet. Maybe they'll get there, but they're not even close to there.
Yep. Okay, so now moving on to the third of these 3 big games this weekend, Richard. A surprising result, a surprising scoreline, and probably a surprising game script, or what at least what eventually.
Opposite what we said.
Yeah. Was this more surprising than Lazio beating Inter? I kind of think it is. I mean,
scoreline wise, yes.
Yeah. I watched this game and I said, okay, when are you guys going to turn this thing loose? When is this thing going to open up? Because it didn't. And so the first question I'll ask you, are we maybe underestimating Italiano as a manager that's willing to be flexible? Because we're used to what he did at Spezia and what he's done at Fiorentina. The great wing play, the strikers that get a boatload of goals, solid midfield play, and things like that. But are we underestimating Italiano's ability to adapt, to the demands of what's coming at him? Yeah. Like a Napoli team, and to be able to set up and to be able to lock them down. Dodo was unbelievable tonight.
Yeah, for me, I think my man of the match for me. That's just me personally. I thought he was fantastic against Kvaratskhelia in this game. So, but yeah, no, I think yes.
As was Milankovic, and as was Martinez Quarta.
Yeah, Amrabat was pretty good too, I thought. Yeah. And for me, they added a little guy that nobody's ever heard of, right? Antonin Barak, who's a fantastic player. And it's good that he's on actually a good team for a change. Not that Hellas weren't good in the past, but he was good in this game. He's a big body, good with the air, good with his feet. He's really good player, very underrated. And he helps this team a lot. This adds a lot of dimensions to this team, and they don't have to rely on the wing play. They can go through the middle with some of the big bodies. Icone, obviously, I like him on the wings, and Biraghi, I thought struggled a little bit, but Quarta was good. Milinkovic is good. You mentioned Dodo was good, right? Yeah. Luka Jovic probably a little quiet as well, but Sotil, if he ever finds a way how to get his shot, like master his shot, he's going to be a good player. He'll be on one of the top teams in the league. He'll be a star. He does everything but score the goals. I mean, he did really well today against what wing is he on? He's on Di Lorenzo's side. Did really well, but just that final product didn't work, right? Obviously, the first one against Moret that he bobbled almost had a goal against there. But other than that, I mean, Sotil was everywhere. He just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And if he can figure that out, this team becomes really dynamic. And then he probably leaves the team by that point.
He's so quick. He's so energetic.
Yes. And you got Kwame coming off the bench. It's a good team. I think look out for Italiano.
if you're Mancini, you should be calling Sotil up. I mean, a fit Chiesa is probably playing on the left in that front three. Or maybe Chiesa plays on the right, and so, but I think Sotil I like his game, and if he continues to clean things up technically, I think he's a fixture in the national team going forward, or he at least should be. I mean, and he needs to stay right where he is. He's at the best place he can possibly be, playing for a manager like Italiano, who seems to do wonders with wingers. But yeah. I thought it was a great performance. I thought that they overall, I mean, yeah, Napoli had a little more of the ball, but did you ever see a point where Galini really felt like he was threatened? So,
I mean, Lozano probably should have scored his goal, right?
Sure.
I will say this about the game, and the goal that Osimhen scored rubbed me the wrong way. The goal taken back, I should say, the goal disallowed, because it's the stupidest rule I think in the world. Just because the goalie wasn't in the box, he needed to have two defenders there to make it onside. I think that's stupid. There was a defender there. I think it's a rubbish play. I thought Napoli should have had a goal there, but who's to say Fiorentina were going to score also, right? So, but there were.
But the offside rule, that is the offside rule, though, in its strictest of interpretations, it was applied, and it was applied correctly.
For sure.
If you are in a more advanced position, and the rule is more advanced position than the second to last defender before the ball is played, you are offside. And in that moment, the goalkeeper was the second to last defender, and there was a defensive player on the line, I believe, on the in the goal. So now, I think. Yes. So it's quirky because you don't see it happen a lot.
Correct.
So, correct. But no, it was correctly, it was correctly identified. Now, do we change our opinion at all about Napoli here? I mean, I think that, it's an away match for them, 0-0. Fiorentina is trying to prove themselves, so you got some of that going on. But, I was of the opinion that I think that this Napoli team needed time to prove themselves, and that Verona and Monza are impressive as those results were. It's Verona and Monza, and what did we say? That's great. Now go do that against a big team, and they couldn't quite do that. So, are we still saying that Napoli is going to get a lot of points, going to be in the conversation, but in reality, going to be a little bit of a work in progress in the early stages?
My opinion doesn't change of Napoli at all. I think they are as good, every bit as good as I thought they were going to be. The first 2 weeks are. Fiorentina's a good team, so you have to look at that, right? Fiorentina played very well. Italiano is an excellent manager. I think Javisha Havraselia came up against Dodo, who was in fantastic form. Dodo played the game of his life, basically, defensively against Havraselia, who really didn't have many opportunities. He had a couple crosses, really good crosses from a little bit deeper, but in terms of the 1-on-1, Dodo shut it down. Now, granted, Havraselia was a little bit selfish. I thought in the first half, he too much wanted to go 1-on-1 trying to beat Dodo, and Dodo wasn't having it. And flip it on the other side, Politano was a little selfish in the second half and not trying to pass anybody else. And Osimhen clearly frustrated by both those situations. But my opinion of Napoli does not change. I think they're very, very good. They're very dynamic because they have multiple people who can take over a game. If Havraselia is covered, you got the midfield guys who can all take over: Zielinski, Anguissa, Lobotka, Elmas, whoever's on there. And then on the right side, you got Politano or Lozano. Obviously, Osimhen is a fantastic striker. You bring in Diego Simeone, who had almost 20 goals last season. This is a good team, and Kim is impressive. So I think this is more about Fiorentina than it is about Napoli in this one. I think Napoli is going to be there putting up a lot of points. At least that's my opinion. What are your thoughts on Napoli?
Well, I think they're going to put up a lot of points. But I think that I'm still going to be cautious about them. I mean, I think that, they got off to an explosive start. There's a lot of talent here, but there's a lot of talent that needs to come together. And you also you've added all these pieces, right? You've added Kvara, who's looking the part, struggled today, but overall has been looking the part. I think we need to see more sample of him. We certainly need to continue to see him against the better teams, and maybe this Fiorentina thing was a one-off, or maybe he's just really good against bad teams too. So Zielinski, I think, looked fine, got taken off in the 61st. I think it got to a point where he was running out of room. Amrabat played well against him. Zielinski still got his. But you're talking about guys that are coming from other places where they started pretty regularly. Even Ndombele had plenty of starts at Tottenham. He at least had him under Mourinho when Mourinho was there briefly.
I don't know if he's Bakayoko yet. I know Dominic says that, but I don't. He had the same beard, but I don't know if they're quite Bakayoko, right?
And now you got Simeone and Raspadori coming over.
Yeah,
who were starters, and Simeone was the man at Hellas Verona, and now he's coming to Napoli and is going to have to fight for time. That's going to be the one thing that I would caution against. Okay, they've recruited well. They've added a lot of players, but now they've added them from players where they were key players where they were coming from. And now some of these guys are going to have their roles changed a little bit. And can you keep all of those guys happy? That's just a fair warning.
It is. And I think also Anthony brings up a good point. Is there more of a mentality issue than it is with players for Napoli? So I don't think necessarily it's the mentality issue with the players. I think it's the manager. I think Spalletti in the big games tends to overthink things, tends to go more conservative than he normally is. And it shows when the results, because they can't ever get in his entire career, whenever the big game happens, he's a little bit more conservative. And he's got to understand that this team is probably one of the best assembled teams he's had in his career. And he needs to keep being aggressive with it, right? If you're aggressive, maybe that pushes Fiorentina and forces them to be a little bit more defensive too, and they don't push up. Maybe Thiaw doesn't come up as forward or Dodo or stuff like that. So I think it's Spalletti. If he can get this out of his head and try to be a little bit more aggressive against one of these, 8 sisters, the more success will come for Napoli. I think that's what's the big thing that held them up last year. Obviously, some of those bad results at the end of the season, but Spalletti's tactics, I think, and that's just me. I'm curious what the Napoli guys think. But I think that's one of the main hurdles that's holding them back at the moment. I don't think it's a talent. I think the talent is there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's how it's going to be managed, and can Spalletti be aggressive with it, and be willing to take some things on in an effort to try to win the Scudetto. So certainly, Spalletti also got abused by the Fiorentina fans during the match. I didn't see that, but that's a shame if it is. Spalletti's from there.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would deserve anything. In that vein. The only other just side note really doesn't have anything to do with performance or playing or anything like that, but if Antonin Barak was a youth soccer player in Wisconsin, the referees wouldn't let him play.
Too tall?
No, the shin guards are too damn small. If he even wears them. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's most soccer players these days, or football players.
No, that was just him. Like everybody else on the pitch, their socks were like up to under their knees, like they had bigger pants.
He has like ankle socks. Yeah, he has like ankle socks. Yeah.
They would complain, and it was just like, because the shin guards aren't big enough, they don't cover the whole shin. That's what the referees around here would do. And I just noticed that, and I was just like, that's a shame.
Maybe he's too tall or his feet too big, and they don't make the socks big enough for him. I don't know. Maybe that could be it too. So it's just that's just something that stood out when I was watching the game today. Anyway, I try to look for things that are amusing me while the game's going on. Yeah.
So I was watching the Lions-Steelers preseason game for some reason. Well, I wanted to see how the quarterbacks were doing, but anyway, the Steelers got a first down on a big play like early on in the game, and then they had the camera, and there was some girl that had on a Lions shirt on that was surrounded by a few Steeler fans, and the camera panned over to her, and she just double barreled on the camera, two middle fingers, nice and high, and the camera couldn't cut fast enough. It was hilarious. It's like if you put the camera on me while I'm trying to digest things that Milan Twitter are saying on Twitter. That's me.
Yeah. That's funny.
So those were our 3 big games. Richard, do you want to batch the rest of them?
Sure, yeah. First, starting off with Monza hosting Udinese. Goal scoring start in the 32nd minute. Colpani with the goal to give Monza the lead. Almost a shock maybe in hand, but no, Beto kind of brought things back. 36th minute made it 1-1 and going into halftime. And then in this second half, Udoji in the 77th got the goal, made it 2-1. Udinese walk away with the road victory there. Cremonese hosting Torino. Goal scoring started with a nice work by Vlasic, the 17th to make it 1-0. Radonjic, made it 2-0 in the 65th minute. Torino looked like they're in smooth sailing. One of the goals of the week candidate, Sernicola, with a wonderful goal in the 80th minute. Nice curler, made it 2-1. Gave Juric a little bit of worries, but no, they won the game 2-1. A good game. Torino continues to have a strong start to the season here. Milan hosting Bologna. We finally got to see the start of the Ketelare, and it was an impressive one. It really is. Honestly, the goal scoring started with a lovely assist from the Ketelare to Leao with a nice finish. In the 21st, made it 1-0, and then in the second half, Leao being the playmaker and assisting to Giroud with one of the goal of the week candidates, a flying volley off of the assist, make it 2-0. Some close chances. Adli had a chance to score his first goal. Nice save by Skorupski, but 2-0 Milan win that one at home. One of the high scoring games of the weekend. It was Spezia and Sassuolo. Go figure. Well, I guess Sassuolo is involved. We shouldn't be a surprise, right?
No.
Goal scoring started. But Fratesi finally gets on the score sheet for Sassuolo, 1-0 in the 27th minute. That lasted about 3 minutes when Bastoni equalized. Nice goal by him. 1-1 at that point. And then just before halftime, a penalty, rightly called, I thought. Enzola steps up and puts it away, 2-1, going into halftime in favor of Spezia. But that didn't last too long. 5 minutes after the break, Pinamonti opens up his account with Sassuolo 2-2. That would be all the goals. I thought there'd be more goals after that, but they're a little bit kind of like locked up after that. 2-2 though, nice result for Spezia. Maybe not so much Sassuolo. Hellas, they were the hosting obviously Atalanta. Interesting game in this one. This is kind of went both ways. Obviously, Atalanta are going to share the possession, but we really didn't get any goals until the second half, and it was in the 50th minute. A nice goal of the week candidate by Cope Miners, goal from distance, beating the goalie low. Surprisingly, that was the only goal. There was a lot of good opportunities by both sides, but one goal was it. Atalanta win on the road 1-0. Maybe the shock of the weekend, maybe. And then maybe the fact because they scored goals. Salernitana hosting Sampdoria. You would think, at least I would think, Sampdoria would be easy victory in this one, but not so much. Goal scoring started in the 7th minute. Dia got the goal, made it 1-0. 9 minutes later, Bonazzoli can't stop scoring for Salernitana. That makes it 2-0. Going into the second half, Vilhena, the new man, Tony Vilhena scores a goal and make it 3-0. And then to add insult to injury, Botheim, 76th minute, 4-0. Salernitana destroy Giampaolo's men. Unreal scoreline there. And then the game that ended this weekend was Lecce Empoli relegation 6-pointer, maybe too early to say. Goal scoring started in the 23rd. Parise made it 1-0 for the visitors, but then Strafese, one of the goals of the week candidates there in the 40th minute, 1-1. Thought we'd get more goals in the second half, but unfortunately we didn't. It was an entertaining game, but 1-1 would be the result there. So where do you want to start with this?
Well, first, a shame that Strafezza left the game injured. So hopefully that's not something too lengthy for Lecce, because Lecce don't have a whole lot of attacking power as it is. So that's worth noting. I'll start with Milan. De Ketelaere's first game, I think we've been anticipating that. And, I mean, he looked great. Simple assist for Leao. Wish that Kalulu would have finished off the ball that Charles played him. But looked really good, handled it well. And just a good overall performance for the Rossoneri. Getting used to those third kits. They're not as bad as the ones that were, what was it, the year during the banter where they were kind of like yellow
Brazil colors or whatever,
like yellow gradating down to green or
I
something.
got my
like
wife that jersey, by the way. Just
were you fighting?
It was one of those TJ Maxx's or whatever they sell, like Marshalls. It was there. I was like, oh, it's a Milan jersey, I'll get it for you.
Yeah. And that was Giroud's 300th career goal.
Okay, wow.
Well, good look at the chat coming through and helping us along. We appreciate that, guys. I didn't know that. So he's been at so many places though, at Montpellier and Arsenal and Chelsea and now Milan. So So going through that, and then I'm with you. I think that outside of the three big games, because I think that Lazio Inter is probably the shock of the week, the way that game went down in the scoreline, and then maybe the lack of goals in the Fiorentina Napoli game comes in there. But if set that aside, Salernitana. But I think we need to pay closer attention to this Salernitana team and the way this team has been assembled. You get a player like Antonio Candreva who can provide service. He can't really do much else this stage of his career. Tony Villain is a guy I've known about for a while.
Yeah.
Playing in the Eredivisie, and he's a good midfield player. I actually have him in my top 5 for goals of the week. I love that goal.
Vilhena? Okay.
Where
nice.
Koulibaly, Lassana Koulibaly chipped him through.
Yeah.
And if they can get steady enough play from their forwards, because I think their forwards are more unsung guys, Bonazzoli, and Thiaw, and then and then I think this Botheim and was it who made the comment about Botheim in here?
The Sanjar or who? Let me see. Where is it? I don't know. Someone.
I struck a nerve. With Presidente about the banter era kits. But there's some hype here with Eric Botheim too.
Yeah.
Him
and Vilhena will be good for them. So
yeah, I mean they've been shrewd, and Maggiore is experienced as well. This is a pretty shrewdly put together team that's making me rethink about them being 18th. I think they're going to survive again. I think
might be better than last year. Might.
Yeah. They just might. And I think that you're looking at Sampdoria now, and it's a product of there's few ideas here. I mean, we talked about Sabiri. Juricic is eventually going to figure out how to play with everybody here. But what do we say? What do we keep saying about Sampdoria? Who stretches this team?
Yeah.
Who stretches opponents?
And that's the thing. That's the thing. There's nobody who does it. They got the two, obviously, great older strikers, but they don't have the pace. They don't. They got some pace for their age, but they're just not.
Eric Botheim is the rap partner of Erling Haaland. I don't know if I want to listen to that.
It's Norwegian rap. I don't know.
I don't even start.
I've heard of that Haaland kid.
Yeah, I'm familiar with his work.
Yeah.
So, Atalanta keeping another team out. Are we seeing change here? I mean, it's three games played. I think. Well, here's the thing: we're learning that keeping Sampdoria out is not a big deal. I mean, and that's who they started with.
Yeah.
But Hellas Verona might be a little bit more impressive because Lasagna and Henry are decent strikers.
Yeah.
But so far so good, and it was the Benacer goal. So I think that Atalanta have gotten things a little more organized. They kind of continue to prove that. Let's see how that looks against some of the if they run into a Napoli or a Roma, a Fiorentina, some of these other teams that might end up being a little bit more dynamic. But you gotta, if you're an Atalanta supporter, you got to be encouraged by this because they were leaking goals like crazy a season ago. And then the other team that I'm going to point out is, and they've started up here on 7 points. And granted, their wins are against Cremonese and Monza, but I think you have to be wary of Torino this season. First of all, Ivan Juric is an excellent manager. I mean, I don't think there's a manager in Serie A, certainly outside of the top 4 to top 6, maybe even top 8, that gets the most out of what he has to work with than Ivan Juric.
Yeah.
I think he pushes the right buttons, and we're getting guys just coming in out of nowhere. Radonjic coming in, who I think he had a little bit of pedigree before he joined Torino. Vlasic is finding a home now. Sanabria has been there for a while. I see you're celebrating Sanabria there with the Paraguay jersey.
There you
go. Miranchuk against Monza. So they lose Bremer, but they're still figuring it out with, Skurs is now playing in the back there. Rodriguez is probably not a fullback or a wingback anymore. He probably is sitting, as part of a back three at his stage in the career. So, and he's getting good goalkeeping out of Milinkovic-Savic. So, I mean, I think that there isn't a manager outside the top 8 that maximizes what he has better than Ivan Juric. And I think that as a result, I think that Torino has the kind of team and has the kind of setup that I think they're going to give people a hard time. Do I think they're going to crack this top 8? Probably not. Yeah. But they're more convincing for 9th to me than Sassuolo are, and I thought Sassuolo were going to be better.
Yeah, I last week we talked about how I thought maybe Udinese was ahead of Torino, but I don't know, man. I'm starting to think I'm so double. Not that I don't think Udinese is going to be decent this year, but I think maybe Torino and Juric are better than Udinese, and maybe they're the ones with they have an attack now. They still have a defense. They got good goalkeeping. Maybe that is a call. So
Sassuolo's back to being fun bad.
Yeah,
I mean the only 2 goals the 2 shots on target were the 2 they conceded. So, and against Spezia, I mean, you take a look at Spezia here. They beat Empoli, they get the draw here, so maybe at home they're going to be a little bit. And Luca Gotti's over there managing, which when he took that job and he left Udinese, I sat there like he's maybe going backwards. Or maybe Spezia is going to give him some resources that Udinese aren't, because Udinese moved on from Molina. Eventually, Udogi's going to leave. So, he's there this year, but he may be at Tottenham next year. So anybody that has a lick of creativity to them and is at Udinese is out of there. So. So maybe he didn't like that anymore. I'd be interested to see what happened and why he left Udinese for Spezia, because that's lateral at the absolute most.
Yeah.
So
I want to go back to Milan. Well, first Bologna. They Mihailovic, I understand what he's going through and everything, but that aside, business side, he needs to go. He's holding back Bologna. I think this team is pretty
stale.
Decent. Yeah, but they need new blood in there, and he's not the answer for them. And granted, any other day Milan probably would have scored a lot more goals. De Ketelare, I thought was fantastic. I think he's going to bring an element that they didn't have last season. From that 10 position, Brahim could not hold off people like the Ketelare, which I didn't know he had this in his repertoire. He can body people off. I mean, Schouten looked like he was gonna be left for dead multiple times. He just pushing him aside. And then throwing those cute passes here and there. And, if it wasn't for Kalulu not assisting to Giroud or scoring the goal, Catalara could have had 2 assists in this game or a hockey assist. But he's something good to watch. And then, it just so smooth. So, it's classy. He looked very classy. So we'll see how he continues on. He's still not there. He's very raw, but my goodness, he's got that touch. First touch he's something special.
Yeah. It did kind of give Bologna did Milan a favor a little bit. They ran out this kid, Denso Cassius, if I'm pronouncing that right, who prior to coming to Bologna was like a second division. Is the Eerste Divisie second division? Netherlands?
I think so. What is it called? Oh, I forget what it's called. Eredivisie is obviously the top division, but I think that's the second division. Yeah. So,
obviously played well at that level, and they found something. Okay, thanks, Sanjar. So, it's here you go, kid. Welcome to Serie A. You got to deal with Rafael Leao and Thiaw Hernandez. Good luck.
Yeah.
How bad do you have to be? How bad are there options on that side? I mean, the other option, I guess, is Lorenzo Di Silvestri, and I think he's too old to keep up with either of those guys. I think Sinisa Mihailovic did him a favor.
Yeah.
Sit this one out. I'm going to spare you a roasting. I'm going to put the kid in.
But again, it comes back to Mihailovic, and he just needs to go. I mean, I hate to do it to the guy, but I think he's from last year and this year and maybe even the year before, he just is stale, like you said, and they need some new blood in there just to make things go. Because I think Arnautovic is a decent striker. They got a decent team around him. It's stale. It's stale.
Yeah. I just wonder if there's just a really strong relationship there with Saputo.
How could it
that's
not
where
be
it's
with
hard.
all that went through, and it, for sure it's hard, but
Or
man,
the fan blowback that they're getting. I mean, there's a lot. It's
yeah,
easy for us to sit here and
sure,
say it, but I mean, can you imagine how delicate that particular situation is for
for sure.
them? So, if it was me, he would have been sacked already. But
Yeah.
and then everybody would have said I was a terrible person, which isn't new, nothing new anyway. So
You said it before I could.
yeah. So goals of the week. Let me run through my top 5 here real quick, Richard. Number 5 for me is Tony Vilhena for Salernitana, the chipped through by Koulibaly. I'm going to go with Giroud's flying volley there in at number 4.
Okay.
Then number 3, I am going to go with Leonardo Cernicola's goal for Cremonese. Well taken. Dusan Vlahovic is in for me at number 2 with the wonderful free kick against Roma. Goal of the week, Luis Alberto for Lazio against Inter.
Fairly similar for me. I'm going to go with my honorable mentions. I think Provadel's save on Dumfries was a huge save in that game.
Mm-hmm.
That really could have turned that game, or even that game, I should say. Pedro's goal in that game is also honorable mention, as is Koopmeiners and Strefeza's goals. My top 5. I am going to go with Dybala's assist to Tammy Abraham at number 5. Number 4, Sernicola with his goal. Wonderful goal by him. First goal for him. Giroud comes in number 3 with me for the flying volley. Just like you, Vlahovic free kick number 2 against Roma. It was a sensational free kick. But Luis Alberto, that was one of the goals. That's going to be a goal of the season candidate there. What a strike by him. Nobody's going to save that in the world. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've got. So right now, if you picked a goal of the season between Luis Alberto and Domenico Berardi, is it still Berardi for you?
Oh, yeah, but just because it's the way the ball came out, he just read a one-time volley. There's a similar goal in the EPL today, I think it was, where someone did something similar, Newcastle maybe. But yeah,
Saint-Maximin.
Yeah. So those balls are so hard to score. Not that what Luis Alberto did was anything easy, but just the difficulty was so much harder with Berardi. I'm going to go with him just slightly over Luis Alberto at the moment. How about you?
Sure. I think I'm going to edge Berardi out over Berardi just over Alberto, but those are 2 real good contenders. Yeah. So we'll keep tracking this as the season goes on, because it's very easy to forget as we go through the season. You go back and think of a goal of the season when we wrap this up in May.
You're keeping track. I'll lose track already.
Yeah. So right now, what will it take for Saudi to start Alberto?
If that doesn't do it, I don't know what will. Though that was a great option to have to come off the bench. Luis Alberto, and it kind of changed the way the game was, right? Him and Pedro. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's going to look at this and be like, see, this is justify why he should come off the bench, because he can do things like that. I don't know. But I think he should start.
So, Berardi can score a wonder volley, but can't hit an open net. I can't get over it.
There's a lot of players who score these wonder goals, but they can't score the tap-ins, right? I've never seen Malinovsky score nothing but like bombs from distance, and he can't get these like closer goals, but whatever. It happens. It just happens.
It does. Let's move on to transfers, and let's move on to the elephant in the room after the spat on Milan with Milan members of Milan Twitter yesterday. So Malik Thiaw, a name near and dear to your heart as a Schalke player coming up, is now a Milan player. Yeah. And they got him for $5 million. I look at it on the surface and I say depth signing. Having him means we don't have to play Gabbia. We probably don't have to play Gabbia, I should say.
Shouldn't. Maybe this week, but after
that. Twitter argument notwithstanding, Malik Thiaw, you know him. I'm going to get out of the way. The floor is yours.
All right. Yeah, first
Did you just look over your shoulder as if somebody from Milan Twitter is like behind
Steve,
you?
Steve Polillo, I'm still looking for his assassin, so I got to watch out. It's on rotation here, right? Presidente, you know what I'm talking about. But Thiaw, right? So Rohit did a fantastic analysis of him. His last season in the Bundesliga before this season. This is when he was just 19 years old. And it's a definitely go read it. Good analysis. It doesn't take into account what he did last season, this Fight the Liga, where so step back. 2019, Schalke's struggling. He is forced to play because there's really no options at Schalke. And he was actually one of the best players on the team of that relegation team. Him and Timo Becker we played actually pretty well, and the rest of the team really stunk it up. That's when, I'm not going to go into too much about Schalke, but they go into the Zweite Liga. He gets a lot more start time. Salif Sane is struggling, so Malik Thiaw gets a lot more game time, and he's a good player. I think, first off, I think there's conflicts between the salary, or not the salary, but the amount sold. Italian media is reporting 5 million euros. German media is reporting 10 million plus $2 million bonus. So we'll see what the final outcome is. A lot of the German sources are saying 10 plus 2. Either way, it's a depth signing. This is what drives me crazy about Milan Twitter is they think they need to replace everybody, be like PSG and buy all the best players. Malik Thiaw is never going to supplant Kalulu or Tomori.
No.
They're one of the top 3 center backs in the league. Why would you want to replace them? Malik Thiaw is going to be a perfect partner for Simon Kjaer. Simon Kjaer is still a strong third option for Milan. It's going to be hard to supplant him. His age is the only thing that's going to take him down, right? And Malik Thiaw blossomed under Yoshida and also other veterans next to him because he is a little bit more adventurous. Last year, he learned to be more adventurous. So he's a center back, but likes to push it up, likes to get up into play and takes his opportunities. He can play right back. He can play left back. He's very versatile. He's gotten a lot better with his passing ability with his feet. He's very tall, reads the game very well, likes to make good tackles because he can, as Rohit even put it in his analysis, that he can read the play very well and can get the ball away from the attacker. He's still very raw though. He's been only playing professionally and as a starter for 2 seasons now, 2 and 3 games now, 2 and 4 games. So he has a lot to learn. Who better to learn than Simon Kjaer, right? And watching Kalulu and Tomori. So this was always a depth signing for me. Never going to be higher than a third on the depth chart for now. There's potential with him. He has the height ability. He can get the balls of set pieces. He's fantastic with those. Scored a lot of goals last season like that. And so, did it look terrible against Union Berlin? Yeah, he had 2 bad giveaways. The whole team sucked. But you can't base a player off one performance or what a team does, right? Otherwise, we would have never signed Adli from Bordeaux because they got relegated, right? But I think Malik Thiaw brings a lot, and you just have to understand he's very raw. He's better than Gabbia, and he will be a good backup option to play with Simon Kjaer, who he'll learn a lot from. Milan and any team that has their aspirations at Serie A, either Champions League or Europa League and Coppa Italia, you need to have multiple, depth around your whole team. And now I think Milan are set, at center back. Yeah, I know people want to say we need another big center back. No, we don't. Kalulu's fine. Personally, I want to see Kalulu on the right back position, but that's another story. But Malik Thiaw, I think, is a nice diamond in the rough that's ready to be shined up and just needs someone like Simon Kjaer and watching Tomori and Kalulu play. It's a very similar story to Kalulu. Very similar story. I think it's a good signing.
Good. Yeah, and I'm with you. It's a pure depth thing. It's not something he's going to have to get thrown into a big game right away. He can learn. He can play alongside Kjaer. He and Kjaer can partner together in a game, and he can cover the ground that Kjaer might not be able to. So we'll see.
This comment here by Sanjar, which a lot of people say that Malik Thiaw is slow, and it's like he's not. He's just tall, and he looks. There's someone else that I forget who it was, another defender. The taller defenders, they seem slow, but they're really not. They just deceiving pace. He can keep up with the guys. I mean, even the video Rohit put in today, he kept up with Haaland. Haaland's a pretty good pacey guy, so he's got decent speed, good height. Just needs to work on some of the finer details. And I think, having a Simon Kjaer as your mentor is going to add so much experience to him. And he's going to become, it's something for the long run. It's a long play for Milan. That's what they're looking for. They're building for the future. And I think they're fine.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah. I didn't. Excellent breakdown. Hopefully that puts everybody at ease. It's okay to take players from teams that are relegated. They weren't the problem. They probably weren't the problem. It's perfectly fine. I mean, as we said earlier,
one last thing about this whole rant thing.
Go ahead.
On Twitter. Do yourselves a favor. If you don't know anything about a player or a team or anything like that, do your homework and make your own assessment, right? That's what I recommend. Yes, I've seen him his whole career, but you take what I say with a grain of salt. Watch a player, do your own research, and you can learn a lot about a player. Never make these judgments just because what you see a score line or a team that's dropped to a second division. Don't use those. That's lazy. You know what I mean?
Yep. And what's the other thing that I said? I said he had to play next to a crap on a cracker defender, Maya Yoshida. So, so it's you're gonna probably have some games where you're gonna look bad because you're part of the collective that includes a player like that. So it's just it's just what it is. I think he's going to have a chance to do really well. I don't want to hear a center back's name in a game unless they score on a set piece, okay, or unless they make a key tackle, okay. Other than that, I don't want. If I don't hear a center back's name, then that center back played well.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way I evaluate it. If I hear
CDM
center back's name,
right?
What's that?
The CDM as well, right? If you don't hear their name, that means they're shutting down the opposition, and that's it.
Exactly. So he joins. Also, Andrea Belotti now to Roma. We did touch on this a little bit earlier when we were breaking down the Juve Roma game, but this is a target that's probably going to be very useful. And after digesting this, after we kind of talked about it and broke it down, Richard might play more than we think once he gets acclimated.
Yes, he will, and I think this adds to Roma's fantastic window. I mean, this is one of the best windows of the season for Serie A. Belotti, I'm so shocked how he had not been picked up until now. I'm glad he went to a team like Roma. They need a guy like him. Obviously, we talked about Tammy Abraham. One of his main deficiencies is the hold-up play, and Belotti's very good at that. Belotti, it'll be interesting to see if they could play together, how that would work, because I think Belotti is good at the hold-up play, likes to come a little bit deeper and then spread it out to his teammates and catch back up and get that, the late cross or whatever. So it's going to be good competition for Tammy Abraham. Yes, he was a guy last year, and he's very good, but he has some things to work on. And if you want to play under Mourinho, you're going to have to get better. And I'm sure Belotti's going to get his fair share to play for sure. Mostly probably coming off the bench to begin with, but Belotti gets hot, Mourinho won't think twice about going with the hot hand. So this is a really good signing from Roma. It's they didn't spend that much money. It's a free, obviously. Curious what the salary is, but I like the signing. I think for both Roma and Belotti, I'm glad he's going to a good squad. So
agreed. And I think we talked a little bit last time about Milik joining Juve. We can touch on it again. I think it's smart business. You're not going to be able. I don't think you can have. You ideally would love to have Vlahovic be your striker for 38 games, but what's your plan B when he's down? I don't think that Moise Kean can be really trusted. I think that the role he played in the Juve Roma game is probably the role he stuck with. It's change of pace type of striker that you bring on in the last few minutes, not a guy that you're going to ask to absorb a bunch of things in 90 minutes. And Milik, with Serie A experience, is a reasonable move for Juve. This probably ends the pursuit for Memphis Depay, which is what was originally discussed. And, we'll ask the question again. Is there something about Memphis Depay that, one, Juventus cooled on, and two, when you think about he hasn't really stuck around at one place for a long time. Is there something from a character standpoint or a dressing room distraction standpoint that we don't get exposure to? And I wonder if Juve saw something and said, I think we're gonna enter pursuit on this guy. I don't think that he's worth the trouble that we're going through to get him in.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair question. I mean, we don't really know. We don't see what the locker room's going on. I'm sure wages have probably something to do with it too. I know Juve are trying to get rid of some of the big money, as obviously Ronaldo was big money there, but Memphis Depay asked for a lot of money. So it could be a little bit of that, a little bit of the locker room too, because if someone doesn't stay at the same location for that long, you have to ask questions, right? And if it's not the locker room, that's very shocking to me. I would imagine it's something, but Juve is not without. They're going to get Paredes. He's going to be joining them. I saw Nicola Shira tweeted something out about that. That should be having a medical here in the next couple of days or something like that. So they're still going to get somebody in there, but yeah, I think having Milik as the guy obviously shuts down the whole Depay rumors, which is still odd to me that he moves so often. But Milik, I mean, I know a lot of Juventini are like want to shoot themselves in the face after they heard that news. I mean, Milik, the injury-prone Milik, always not scoring all the goals, never living up to the potential. He was always dubbed the next Lewandowski, right? And just never could live up to the hype. It's curious to see what he does. He's a guy who, like you said, has Serie A experience, and he's going to be a plug-and-play guy. You take off Vlahovic, you bring a Milik, like-for-like player there. So we'll see. I mean, I'm still – the jury's still out with him as well. I'm curious to see if he can use his last chance, so to speak, in Serie A and make something of it with this Juventus team. But we'll see. I mean, obviously, if Allegri keeps playing this Moretti guy, bring in Paredes, they can beef up that midfield just a little bit more. They have a chance to become a really, really solid team. But Milik, I don't know, man. I mean, it makes sense to me. I get why they need a backup because Vlahovic can't play the whole time. But is Milik the right guy? I don't know.
Yep. Agreed. And like I said, I think that when you need somebody to play from the start and Vlahovic needs a break, it makes much more sense to have Milik starting instead of Kane. And I think that I think that Allegri is in particular probably doesn't care for Kane either. Probably that's another thing that you got to look at, and I think that Allegri is also content that that's the role that he's happy with for Kane, a guy that can come on and maybe give him something late, not somebody that he wants to have out there for 90 minutes.
It's a shame too, because it's someone who I thought could have had a chance at the national team, but obviously he's never, for whatever reason, never kicked it into the next gear and become a stalwart as a starter. So, we'll see what happens with him, but it's not, his days in the Azzurri probably are numbered, if this is going to continue to happen. But then again, Bernardeschi kept getting starts with the Azzurri, and he hardly played for Juventus. So,
quick one on Matty Kamara to Roma, because Chris is bringing that up in the chat. And just a nice ad for some more midfield depth for Roma. So even more of a rotation for Mourinho to work with.
Yeah, and I think they've been looking for him at a long time. I think I saw Nima tweeted this out where they were looking at him pre-COVID, and just never could get it to work out. And then now they finally got him in there. So yeah, good depth there for Roma. Mourinho and company continue to build this team. It's going to be a team that can play on multiple fronts. It's what you want if you're a team that's contending on three fronts. So,
and I'm not ready to. I don't think anything. I'd be surprised right now, looking at least at the top 8 teams. Anything big comes by deadline day. Milan look like they're in for a couple of younger players. That are going to probably be guys that they sign them, but then they're going to just loan them right back out. Let them develop.
You think they won't go for a right winger? You think they're gonna be content with Messias and Salamakers?
Pioli was just in the paper the other day saying that he's fine going in with that.
I mean, they did win the Scudetto like that, and they go to Rigi. They can put there if they need. He'll probably
Milan fans aren't going to be fine going in with that, but
yeah, no, for sure.
They don't make the decisions. They.
I think you cannot get rid of Salamakers because he's too important for the Catalare. That Belgian connection, obviously with Origi as well. It's important to have him, fellow countrymen with him, to help acclimate to Milan. And say what you want about Salamakers offensively, which is not much, but defensively he puts in the work, right?
Yeah.
And so you need that in games where the games are tight. You need to bring in a little bit shut down. He just doesn't stop running. And then Messias, occasionally he'll show something that you're like, whoa, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Precisely the point to Salamakers and why you keep him.
Yeah.
And I really like the role that. Someone in Serie A, please get Florian Grilic.
I heard someone say that he might be going. I don't remember what team it was. I don't know if it was Juve or whom.
I saw Atalanta.
Maybe it's Atalanta,
which would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But they just lost Freuler. They could use some depth in their midfield. Yes. So we'll see. But yeah, there might be one or two moderate names coming in, but I don't see a big splash before this deadline comes and goes by the end of the month. So, which is just about upon us. All right, let's breeze through Champions League here, Richard. Group A, Napoli ended up in Group A and will play Ajax, Liverpool, and Rangers. Group C is getting all of the talk. Inter once again in a arguable group of death, dealing with Bayern, Barcelona, and Victoria Plzen. And I think the Plzen guys are were there and took a look at when they got drawn in that group and said, well, hey, we're going to make a lot of money at least.
Yeah.
So having
There's mixed reaction from their team. Some of the guys were excited, and some of them were like, ugh.
Having these 3 teams come to our yard. So
yeah.
Milan will head up Group E as the seeded team. They got Chelsea, Salzburg, and Dinamo Zagreb, and then Juve ends up in the group with Paris Saint-Germain, Benfica, and Maccabi Haifa.
Yeah.
Rate these teams 1 through 4 from most likely to least likely to qualify for the knockouts.
Ooh, man, that is hard with this group. I would say most likely to least likely. So I'm going to say Milan most likely.
Yep.
I would probably go. I probably am going to go towards Napoli as second. I'm going to go Juve just slightly ahead of Inter. So Inter 4. And see, with those 2 teams, Inter and Juve, Inter and Barca is the game, make or break game.
Yeah.
Victoria Pleasant is going to be difficult for sure. But I think Barca, the winner of the 2 games between Inter and Barca is going to move on. And the same thing with Juve. But Maccabi Haifa is going to be difficult for everybody. But I think Benfica and Juve are going to be the one you have to watch to see how they do. Benfica or Portuguese teams tend to give Juventus trouble. It always does, especially when you go to Portugal. And Benfica are no slouches. So we'll see how these teams line up. Allegri historically does well in Champions League. He get the right setups. Maybe not last year.
Yep.
But yeah, I think those are going to be the 2 close ones, Juventus and Inter. And I still think, I said it before, I think maybe 2 out of 4 make it. And I think that's Napoli and Milan out of the knockout.
I will say that Milan is most likely to qualify. And then I'm going to say the other 3 teams, you can put them in any order and I'm not going to fight you. Because I really, and I'll give my explanations. Napoli are in a tougher group than you think. Now, Ajax is depleted. They've lost some play. Antony just went to Manchester, is just going to Manchester United now. Be interesting to see if Ajax are able to do anything last minute in terms of reloading, but Haller's still there. Tadic is still there. Did Gravenberch left, right? He's in Germany, right?
You're correct. He's with Bayern Munich.
All right. Yes, that's right. So yeah, they've been depleted. Tagliafico's with Lyon. They're probably, obviously Ten Hag's not there anymore. So they're in a little bit reloading. So there's a chance there, but there's always something about Ajax are shrewd.
Yeah.
They'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Liverpool is Liverpool, even though Napoli did have success the last time they went to Anfield.
Rangers are no slouches.
Yep. And then Rangers, I don't think Rangers are not going to be the easy out that people think about. I mean, these guys, they went deep into the Europa League last year, and I'm really impressed with Giovanni van Bronckhorst as a manager. I see this Rangers team, and I see him as a guy that has the ability to adapt tactically to the situation and adjust his team and situate his team for what the demands of the opponent are going to bring to him. And I say this, he went to Eindhoven and won that match and got out of there. And I think when everybody was looking at Eindhoven to win that and knock them out, and he went there without 4 starters.
Yeah.
He went there without Morelos among a few others, and pulled off a win. So they're going to be there. Every one of these games are going to be tricky. I think you look at, and everyone was like, "Oh, Inter's dead." Bayern and Barcelona, but the more I've digested it, this group actually suits Inter. Because what do we say about Inter? When are Inter most effective? When they don't have the ball and when they can counter. Well, Bayern and Barcelona love to have the ball.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And Inter are going to love
last year, right? They beat Barca last year.
Yeah. And Inter are going to love to counter them.
Yeah.
They're going to be in positions to do so. And I think as it pertains to both of those teams, I don't think they're the mystique. You're not beating the mystique of them. You're beating the team that's going to be lining up against them this season, which, in my opinion, aren't anywhere close. This Bayern team isn't as strong as Flick's Bayern team that won it in 2020. No. They're good. They're damn good. Yeah. It's just, I'm not saying that.
Flick had a fantastic team, almost as good as what's his name from 2012 when they won it. I can't remember his name right now, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and this Barcelona team is getting better, but they're not Pep's Barcelona with Messi and Xavi and Iniesta. Xavi is not dressing for them. He's in a suit or he's in a tracksuit on the sideline. So
someone mentioned in the chat, Skriniar did not look good against Pedro and Immobile in the Lazio matchup. And so I think Inzaghi needs to get his tactics better because, you go against Barca and Dembele, who's got pretty good pace. You got to keep him getting exposed. Can he keep up with him pace-wise? No. Is he the savvy vet that can read the plays? Sure, but you got to set it up for him to win those kind of battles. And I think he needs a lot more help defensively, which he didn't get against Lazio. And so that's going to be the key thing. I think if they can, obviously the possession is going to be had with Barcelona. How they line up and counter that, how do they protect the defensively is going to be the keys. I think if they can protect Skriniar in that back line with some defensive help from the midfielders, Barella or whoever, then they're going to get a chance to win. Because I think the counterattack is going to be there, and they're going to be able to get the goals. Mention Dumfries and Lautaro running down the pitch, getting goals there. I can see that. But it's how you set up defensively, how Inzaghi does, going to make or break his, reign at Inter. If they go out in embarrassing fashion and they struggle in Serie A, maybe he's gone. But, still way too early to tell.
I see Darmian. I could see a lot of Darmian in the group stage.
Yeah.
Dealing with those teams to give Skriniar some help. And then Dumfries is a guy that that maybe you bring in later if you need to try to get somebody to give, to get forward and get some width. So, and then Juve, that's not a done deal for qualification for them either. PSG obviously is very talented, and Benfica is going to cause some problems. Benfica defends well. They've got some experience with Otamendi back there. They've got guys that have been there forever, like Rafa Silva. Mm-hmm. And they've added David Neres. He's another guy that left Ajax that's over there. Yaremchuk is a decent striker. They've got some other options that can attack. And you're going to see, you're going to probably see a lot of Allegri ball, and it's going to come down to those two games against Benfica as to whether or not Juve are going to progress. All four teams could get through, but just one team could also get through. I think we're penciling Milan into the knockouts. But even that, at their group, Salzburg isn't what they were.
Sure. But
they still have a philosophy in the way they go about doing things.
They're like Ajax. They find these diamonds in the rough and turn them into superstars,
And they can create some problems. And Dinamo Zagreb have talented players.
Yeah.
I watched their game against Bodo Glimt last week.
You were
Orsic,
the one.
What's that?
You were the one.
At least over here. Orsic,
yeah,
very technical players. This Baturina kid, number 10, is their latest youth kid that I heard a couple people say might be that, has Luka Modric potential. Don't you get people are all jumping out of their seats. I'm saying potential. I'm not going to go out there. Yeah, he's the next Luka Modric. No, it's the story on him is that that upside is there. A little old and slower in the back maybe, but a technical team. And Dinamo Zagreb through the years have produced good young players that go on and have that go on and get wildly successful. So they're going to be. Salzburg and Zagreb are tricky, but Milan should be able to take care of business. And it just comes down to the two games with Chelsea to dictate whether they win the group or finish second. So I'm going to say Milan qualify. I'm going to say Juve barely qualify. And that Group A is just way too weird. I just think something weird's going to happen with Napoli, and they're not going to make it. And then Inter go to the Europa League. I think that Barcelona will just edge them out. I think that it's set up for Inter in the way they want to play, but I think that Bayern and Barcelona might just have a tick too much quality for them to overcome.
So you have Milan Juve, I have Milan Napoli, right?
Yep. I think Napoli will just barely get past Benfica. I'm not comfortable making that prediction, and I could change my mind here in a few days and see if I look at Ajax's team again and say, yeah, maybe 3 teams get through and Napoli get through. That would be the next team I would send through. I think that it's toughest for Inter if I had to, make the smart decisions. So Europa League, We have Roma and Lazio in that competition. Roma gets Ludogorets, Real Betis, and Helsinki. Lazio get Feyenoord, Midtjylland, and Sturm Graz. I think that it is going to be pretty straightforward for both. If they put their attention into this, they'll qualify. I think that for Roma, it's going to be them and Betis.
Yes.
I think Ludogorets is going to cause some problems. They seem to always do. I think it's a little. I think Helsinki makes up the numbers in that group, and then I think when you go to Lazio, Feyenoord produces good teams. Still, for the Midtjylland has been a bit of a fixture.
Mhm.
Sturm Graz just sold one of their better players to Atalanta. I don't know if he's going back to Sturm Graz on loan, and I was just looking at it. The name escapes me. But I think it's pretty straightforward for Roma and Lazio. They'll qualify. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think for Roma, the big challenge is going to be whether they finish first or second. I think Real Betis is a fantastic team this year. Started the league off undefeated in 3 games, 3 wins. Ludogorets always causes trouble for people like you said, and Helsinki I think will be the bottom of the group. So yeah, Roma, Betis in that group, and then Lazio, they should first or second. That's the question for both Roma and Lazio. But I think Feyenoord or Midtjylland will be the other one. But I'll probably lean towards Feyenoord as well. I think they've been last couple of years they've been a lot better than they had been in the last 5-10 years. So
Sure.
yeah, I think Lazio and Roma are both going to move out. So
all right. And then the Conference League, Fiorentina, certainly a passable group for them. Istanbul Basaksehir is actually the seeded team in that group.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play Hearts from Scotland and then Riga from Latvia. So I see no problem with them qualifying. I think that they probably qualify top of this group too. Basaksehir can concede a lot of goals. They seem to in Europe, and then so it'll be pretty straightforward. I think that if Fiorentina, like I said, like the other teams, if they have their attention on this competition, it shouldn't be an issue for them to qualify.
That's always the question, right? Are they going to have their heads into the some of these managers don't necessarily like playing in Europe unless it's the Champions League, and so even if it's Champions League, they're like, oh, let's focus on Serie A or whatever or Coppa Italia. So
you think Fiorentina will do that though? I don't think they will. I think they're going to relish being in a European competition because it's been a while for them.
No, I think they will too. I think they will. But if you're looking at Roma or Lazio, maybe not Roma, maybe Lazio. Who knows? But I think Fiorentina, I think Hearts and Istanbul will be the ones that they're going to have to watch. But I think they should top their group and win.
Yep.
Hopefully they're in it, and I think they will be.
All right. So we're in agreement on that. We think 2 teams from the Champions League, both teams from Europa League, and then Fiorentina from the Conference League will extend their European seasons into 2023. So we just differ on who the second team is with the Champions League. You say Napoli, I say Juve. So although I may change to 3 and throw Napoli into that bucket. Right now, I think that group is just so super quirky that Liverpool's certainly coming out of it, but then I think it's a dogfight for who the second team is. So we'll see. Give us your thoughts on the draws and what you expect out of your teams in Europe at Serie A Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram. I still do that. I still want to have people reach out to us and give us their comments and replies.
Should.
Yeah, why not? Why not? So all right. So moving on now to the world's most popular hashtag game. It is time for Who Won Calcio Twitter. Richard, lead us off.
All right, starting off is Paris Snitch, and this one comes where he says, I can imagine Bonetti in prison, so people were going after Bonetti for his comments, and so someone said, this is him in prison, and the guy goes, hey, I killed a man, what are you in for? He goes, I posted football screenshot on Twitter.
This was in relation to that octagon setup that Juve was in. I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mick Flair Drip at M1897, a sad short story. He points, I want the shit version of that, and is that Artur?
No, that's Morata.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's Morata. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. This guy for real? The Brow said get him whatever he wants. So, and there's Milik. I just ruined the whole joke.
It is, but it's funny. It's funny. It's funny.
And then is there more? Oh.
No, that's it.
Oh, well, then he did follow up by saying, fucking Arkadiusz Wayne Milik is not the striker I had on my bingo card when the mercato started. I don't think he was on anybody's bingo card when the mercato started. So you're not alone on that.
Yeah.
All right.
On the same vein, here we go. At Ravid_Omer. Allegri at the office tomorrow. I asked for milk.
That's good. That's good. All right. So at Totti's armband, Napoli Sansoni saying Napoli is a very serious dark horse. At Totti's armband saying the horse in question.
Creative. All right. What else? What we got here? Let's see. Okay. So this one is deleted. I don't know. I don't know what that is. So, Apex, you'll have to fill us in on what it was. I don't remember anymore what it was.
Something from David Amoyal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something probably shouldn't even talk about here anyway. So,
yep.
Anyway, so moving on, the big show again. So the original tweet was Inter posted Ecco el nostro girone de Champions League. And it's, obviously the group that Inter's in. And then Big Show says this is a sinking ship or sinking boat or car.
The kids from Malcolm in the Middle.
Yep.
Love to see it. Love to see a Malcolm in the Middle reference. All right. So moving on to Perisnich. Yes. Okay. I nominated this. Bayern, Barcelona, and Victoria Pilsen versus Inter in the UCL.
Just beating him senselessly. Oh, that's
funny. So which team is pulling Inter's pants down there?
It's probably Barcelona.
Yeah, probably.
It's probably Bayern Munich. They're gonna score the goals. Want to score the goals. So, all right, moving on. Lisi nominated this one. RB Salzburg said, happy to be playing the biggest club in Italy. Can't wait to see you guys in Salzburg, in reference to Milan. So, recognizing the 7-time Champions League winners. So,
all right. It's not always about the jokes. It's also about the love. And this is from at Matt_E000, Samuel Umtiti.
So, world champion, played with the best players in the world, and he's getting emotional over the reception he got for Lecce, which is amazing by the fans there, that they give him this much love. And he obviously feels it. He's been playing at the best places in the world, played at Barcelona, played at France, with the national team winning the World Cup, and yet he still gets emotional for reception like that. So you love to see that. And
it's why we didn't discuss it in the transfers, because we knew it was part of our Who Won Calcio Twitter segment. So
it's a good pickup by them. Good pickup by them.
Yeah, especially the way they're trying to play and kind of doing that survival mode. To have a solid defender and experienced defender back there is going to help them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, moving on. Joe Cappuccino, Inter after playing Bayern and Barca.
Yeah. I don't know if they get that counterattacking game going. They might just happen.
Yeah.
At Giallorossi USA, Juventus changes since their last match via AS Roma.
All these players outgoing for Juve. Who's going to play for them against the Roma? Obviously, they did well, but let's talk about the players that come in. Bremer, Kostic. Oh, someone's injured. Oh, another guy injured. Oh, he's injured. So they were talking some trash against Juventus before the match, and game ended in a draw. But creative.
Yep.
Creative.
I knew it would be a draw. I had it 0-0 though.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, very close. Saturnion getting in the action. It's Leao when he scores a winner for Chelsea at the San Siro, running over to the Curva Sud and celebrating. It's like Adebayor, the infamous goal back in 2011 or whatever it was.
Emmanuel Adebayor. What became of him?
That's not going to happen. Leao's not going anywhere. That $150 million clause was only good for July. So once we got closer to the end of the mercato,
this was when Adebayor slid over to the Arsenal were the away team and the Arsenal supporters. So this would be Leao sliding over to the Chelsea supporters at the San Siro. Okay, we like that.
Yeah.
All right. So Saturnion again. Inter unlucky in the group of death. What are you talking about? Milan plus Inter with 10. But Milan have 7 of those 10.
I like how he just
City,
snuck in Milan, just small over there, so you can tell.
City, PSG, Chelsea, Barcelona, Juve with 9. Barca with 5 of those. Chelsea with 2 of those. Juve with 2 of those. Manchester City and Paris.
Not yet.
Not yet. I don't know about George's entry here, but
well, I had a different. So I'm not going to say anything about this, but I suggested maybe the girl would have been Inter, and then Victoria Pleasant would have been one of the guys. But
that would have been funny. It would have been funnier if it was that.
That's a very often used meme there. So
yes. So leaked footage of Juve passing as Milan passing as Juve medical at JFC Tom 2001.
Experts at the British Museum are unwrapping those secrets.
We're using the best CT scanners available.
Now using CT scans and data visualization technology.
That's good. That was much better.
Oh, leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
Leader in the clubhouse.
Oh, let's see what Milan Weekly Podcast is nominated here from Semprista. So original tweet was Tech Burrito says the evolution of the Big Pen, and it hasn't changed since 1955. AC Milan's right wing. It's good.
What are you talking about? We had Suso.
Oh God, don't bring him up.
I know. All right, Saturnion again. Allegri telling Vlahovic his role at Juventus. We need sound.
Ashito, turn yourself into a defender. I could be more precise, couldn't I? All right.
Telling
When you
Vlahovic to
finally
become a
play on
defender.
the world stage, it'll be as a fullback.
Vlahovic as a fullback. That's something at the end.
You want me to be a defender? I don't understand what you're saying. Why?
Your skills are better suited for that position. You'll never again play forward. A complete transition.
No. Wait a second.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness! All right, that's contending.
Yep.
I don't know. I think the Milik stiff is probably still. But let's see what Napoleonismo has to say about it. Okay.
So this is you on cocaine. This is you on alcohol. This is you on crack. This is you on Allegri. It's all drunk walking away, just staggering around. Don't know where you're going.
Does he fall?
No, he doesn't fall. It just loops over. So I know.
I hold Napoleonismo to a higher standard. Let's see.
Oh God.
Replying to at Berto_AJC Johnny Delicola at Johnny Rules 27 nominating this, saying this has to win. Well, we'll be the judge of that. Let's have a look. The Pogba's family reunion.
For those who don't know, what this is reference to is Pogba's brother apparently had this bizarre video where he said he's going to reveal these secrets to Pogba while he was at United and with French national team with Mbappe and this and that. And obviously then today, Paul Pogba comes out and says, some mafiosos were coming after him or some gangs were going after him. So something's going on in the Pogba household. I don't know what's going on, but they're probably fighting like this.
Oh, good Lord.
Oh, goodness. All right. What else we got here? Oh, that's it.
That's it. We're done.
We're done. Oh, man.
We're down to Saturnion with Allegri telling Vlahovic his new role at Juventus, or at JFC Tom 2001 leaked footage of Milik passing his Juve medical.
I mean, I like that.
Let's watch him again.
Unwrapping those secrets.
We're using the best CT scanners available.
But now using CT scans and data visualization technology, experts at the British Museum are unwrapping those secrets.
We're using the best CT scanners available.
All right, that's that. And then you said this one?
Yeah.
It'll be as a fullback. Turn
That's
yourself
tough.
into
It's
a
tough.
Oh, man. We got a
But now
tough call.
using CT.
What's that? Yeah, it's a tough call. It is a tough call. The Pogba one was good at the end too. But
I'm going with I think I'm going with JFC Tom 2001.
yeah, I agree.
Barely.
It's a stiff.
Barely.
Yeah, I like that.
Congrats to. Okay, so let me post this while you talk to the people.
Oh, people. Thank you for everyone joining us in the chat tonight. If you haven't done so already, make sure you follow us, subscribe to us on YouTube, I should say. Lots to go here. You know, the mercato is wrapping up this next week. I don't know. I'm looking at my top teams, especially the top 8, and there'll be a little bit of changes. Won't be much changing there, but yeah, I don't know. I think Roma's firmly in my top 4, but you know, we'll see how the rest of it pans out. But there will be some changes, I think, based off of how the players look so far this first month, and also how some of the transfers that have come in and out. It's certainly been interesting here. So yeah. I'm. How about you? You think your predictions are going to change?
I think my relegation is going to change a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of the middle table guys, and I might move some things around with the top 7 or 8.
You still have.
I'm also letting Saturno know he was runner-up this week.
Oh, very good. We'll see.
So,
do you have Roma winning the mercato so far? Is that your winner?
I think so. I think with just how the pieces all fit and how everything makes sense. For me, I think that's probably the best. That's probably the best answer here.
Yeah.
So, as far as if you're looking for who the mercato winner is, so we got midweek football or midweek Calcio, I should say. So no marquee games in particular. Let's see.
Let's see some goals at Milan Sassuolo. Should, but probably not.
Yep. You've got. Well, starting with we'll go Thursday and work backwards. Atalanta hosts Torino. Bologna hosts Salernitana. So great chance for Salernitana to follow up on that great win today. 5 games on Wednesday: Empoli, Hellas Verona, Sampdoria, Lazio, Udinese, Fiorentina, Juve, Spezia, Napoli, Lecce. And then on Tuesday, Sassuolo, Milan, Inter, Cremonese, Roma, Monza. So, but then the important one, Saturday, September 3rd, Derby della Madonnina.
I've heard of it.
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the mystique of such. And I know it shouldn't also not, but not to upstage it. Fiorentina, Juventus also on the same day. So
and Lazio, Napoli.
Yep, and Lazio, Napoli. So once again, we're going to probably have the same format. Although we got the Milan derby, we're going to have to give that a little bit more attention. But thoughts on those games looking ahead? Leapfrog match week 4. Look ahead to match week 5 with your thoughts on those games.
Me? Oh,
yes,
okay.
you. Yeah, I know our guest.
Yeah. Oh, derby is going to be interesting. I think early on this season, that's hard to call. I don't know who's going to have that game. I think a draw is written all over it. Honestly, the Catalare could be obviously the focus is going to be Leao, right? And Giroud has to be starting these games, but the Catalare, watch for him to be maybe the X factor in that game. I mean,
yeah.
We saw what Milan did with Brahim, Salamakers, and Messias last year. Obviously, it upgraded there. So don't discount. I want to see Lukaku against Tomori and Kalulu. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, we saw what Lukaku did to Romagnoli last year or 2 years ago. Can he have the same impact in the derby as he did previously? Well, Zlatan's going to be able to play, right? He's injured. But, yeah, it's going to be even. I think right now, the edge is going to go with the manager, and I think it's going to be Pioli just because right now his teams tactically are better than Inzaghi's. Maybe, and that could just be that loss and against Lazio this weekend. But, yeah, I don't know. It's awfully close. And the Fiorentina Juventus, it's probably another 0-0 game. I mean, Fiorentina are not giving up much, and Allegri would probably be content with 0-0, honestly.
Yep.
But you never know. I mean, if Juve come out the way they did, and Fiorentina are very capable of attacking. Obviously, we saw with Sotil and Dodo what they could do. It'll be interesting. Milinkovic against Vlahovic is going to be a big matchup. Obviously, Milinkovic did very well this weekend against Osimhen, so we'll see what he does against Vlahovic. It'll be, they don't want to give any fouls up near the box because Vlahovic is very good at those free kicks. So I don't know, man. Both games looking draws, but I don't know. What are you thinking about these games?
I think that Fiorentina are going to win against Juventus. I've not seen anything from Juventus after watching Fiorentina deal with what I think is a better attack in Napoli, and I think they're going to have the quality going the other way to pull off the win at the Artemio Franchi and beat Juve. I think they're going to win that game. I think they're going to win 2-0.
Oh,
if they do what they did today, they just need the goals, and I think that they're capable. So I'm with you. I think Milan win the derby, but narrowly. I think I'm going to go for 2-1 there. I think that Pioli will set his team up to, we're going to see the same classic stuff. Set the team up to absorb, bring some extra quality out at certain points. You may see Salamakers play that game from the start to help give some extra cover.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go with a draw between Lazio and Napoli. So
Chris says Di Maria might be back also for that game. If he's in that game, that'll be
it'll change things, certainly.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll change things, certainly. But I'll go with a draw in the Lazio Napoli game, and I'm gonna just stick to my guns. I think Fiorentina beat Juve on Saturday, and I think it's going to set the alarm bells off. I think with Juve looking ahead to PSG in the Champions League coming up on Matchday 1 on that Tuesday, I think that they're going to be there for the taking, and I think it's going to be a chance for Fiorentina to get a famous win.
And as Ali Oxenfree Ola says, the derby's any derby, but this derby in particular, form doesn't matter. It does not matter. So
yes, agreed. So with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts and SoundCloud. You can find us on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever there's podcasts. There's Serie A Sit Down. The social media handles, you can catch us on Twitter and Instagram at Serie A Sit Down. We also have a Facebook page too. Any questions, comments, ideas for topics for future programs, please don't hesitate to reach out to us there. YouTube, please subscribe. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more of it, please subscribe. We went a little bit longer tonight. We had a lot to cover. I think we usually have when we have the draw and we have the transfers and things closing, we usually go a little longer. So, please subscribe. Please drop a like. Helps us out a lot. Chat, as always, great topics, great points, great conversation. Thanks for your contributions, as always. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to us. Typically, if you want to catch us live on our YouTube channel, look us up, Serie A Sit Down. We do have our own channel. If you're listening to us on the podcast, want to catch us live. In general, we're on Sunday nights, and generally we are from 8:30 East. We started at 9 East tonight, just trying to finish up some family obligations tonight. But otherwise, just look for us on Twitter for when we're going to be on live and join in and get in on the chat. So we thank you all for taking your time with us. For Richard, I'm Frank. And as always, be sure you're telling your paisans about us. Ciao.